I absolutely love Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. Shoot, I even love Dragon Ball GT to a certain extent. And for most of you, you guys already know that. But for those who don't, that's kind of where this idea comes from. I was thinking, what could I add to Invincible or add to Mark Grayson that would honestly give him a leg up, but would also make somewhat sense? And that's when I wanted to talk about Zenkai Boost from Dragon Ball, giving Invincible Zenkai Boost, or what if Invincible got Zenkai Boost? Now, what is a Zenkai Boost? Well, in Dragon Ball, Saiyans have a genetic trait called the Zenkai Boost, or we deem it as the Zenkai Boost, and every time they're pushed to the brink of death, or at least survive crucial injuries, they come back a lot stronger. Now, imagine that with Mark Grayson, with Invincible, already a half Viltrumite gaining this ability. Now, in all reality, how would he gain this ability? Now, there's no logical way necessarily to tiptoe my way into giving him a Zenkai. I mean, he's not a Saiyan, right? So it's hard to give him that. And I was thinking, okay, do I give it to all the Viltrumites? Maybe. That would be pretty interesting. What if all the Viltrumites did get Zenkai boosts? But honestly, at the same time, there would be quite a few issues in that regard, and probably would be dealing with a far stronger Viltrumite kind of empire, and to the point where everybody would be crushed in a matter of a very short amount of time, just to say the least. Because we've seen that Viltrumites, yes, they're stronger than everybody, faster, better, blah, 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 right? But they literally fought, killed, and destroyed each other to basically get at the peak of their species. So what happens to those people who came out on top? Those people would be even stronger because of Zenkai Boost. What about someone like Conquest and someone that like Thrag? These people that have trained their entire lives, gotten stronger and stronger, better and better. Imagine if they would actually be able to go out, fight to the brink of death basically, and come back that much stronger. And we know Zenkai Boosts are pretty damn insane. So there's a good chance that a Zenkai Boost for Thrag or Conquest or someone like that would make him 3 times, 4 times, 5 times insanely stronger. I mean, we've seen Goku go from like a measly power level, like a power level after training in a 100 times gravity, all the way up to about 90k or 120k, around that margin. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, all the way to getting a Zenkai, putting him up to like 3 million. These are insane numbers, insane power-ups. So imagine if we gave the Viltrumite Zenkai Boost, it would be pretty damn insane and pretty damn ridiculous. But the main person I want to talk about is Invincible or Mark Grayson. So what would happen, well, early on, in the middle, or later on in general? Mark Grayson, for one, I would have to make it so that the combination of human and also a Viltrumite actually grants him the ability to get stronger every time he is defeated or every time that he is crucially injured in battle. And Mark's journey is filled with brutal fights. I mean, Zenkai Boost would be perfect for this. I mean, every single time he starts a battle, a shift, or fighting along different heroes, we've seen him get beat up by arguably people that he shouldn't get beat up by. But we have seen him get beat up by quite a few different people. Now, I just want to start with the ones that are the main ones, like the main ones. First off, Battle Beast. He gets absolutely pummeled by Battle Beast, like destroyed. But instead of him, like, you know, obviously just getting the same treatment as normal, he would get beat down, destroyed, smacked around. Yes, he would be nearly dead. But when Mark recovers, he becomes 2, 3, maybe even more times stronger than normal. And that right there already puts him in a stratosphere of his own. Like, ridiculous. Now, of course, we have to know his baseline at this point. So putting him in a stratosphere of his own could be a little bit far-fetched. But at the same time, you make him 2 times stronger from what he was when he lost and got smacked around by Battle Beast. I mean, we're talking about a person that is on a really high level at a very, very, very early time in his fighting kind of prowess. Now, in the fight against Omni-Man, a fight in Chicago, would that actually change? Would he be able to go toe-to-toe, if not maybe even beat Omni-Man? I'm not so sure, right? we don't know technically where he was in terms of how strong he was at the point of basically getting defeated by Battle Beast. That is what would really tell you, right? For example, let's say that he's at a power level of 100, which obviously I know power levels are BS, so you got to take this with a grain of salt. But his power level is at like 100. If he gets 2 to 3 times, that's like 300, right? 2 to 300. But let's say his base level was 1,000. The jump is going to be drastically bigger if his power level or his base strength is already at a certain distance. Now, is the Battle Beast absolute smacking make him strong enough to take on Omni-Man based on the base level that he was at in the first place? I'm not so sure, right? It's hard to really take in because yes, we do talk about the percentages that his strength or ability, his speed went up when training with Cecil, but that's also a different version of Mark. That is season 3 Mark. That is a Mark that has already gone through hell and back. So we know that he has a lot of experience and he has gained quite a bit of strength and quite a bit of power outside of just normal training. Now, for just the sake of the argument, let's say that he's not going to be strong enough to defeat Omni-Man. He'll face him in Chicago, do a lot better, but he would keep he'd keep up to an extent, but the battle would eventually lead to Omni-Man defeating him. Like Omni-Man would just turn up the pace even more on him and beat him senseless. And this right here, I mean, we are now entering a different state for Mark Grayson, because if he is somewhat near Omni-Man, let's say he is 80%, maybe 75% of what Omni-Man is at this point, which we know that wasn't the case when they fought in the first place, because, I mean, Omni-Man was just tanking shots from him. I mean, it was easy. It was very easy for Omni-Man to defeat him, but let's just say he's 75%, and then that Zenkai Boost gives him a 3 times boost, which could be an understatement, could be even higher of a boost. We are dealing with now a Mark Grayson far stronger than Omni-Man, or at least this version of Omni-Man, and way more prepared for literally any fight that is going to come. I mean, every fight that he normally loses, he should have no issues at all. Like, he should not have a single issue. Now, we all know he loves to hold back and loves to lose fights that he shouldn't lose. But in theory, he really shouldn't be losing any fight that is really coming up, because in my opinion, he's going to be stronger than Omni-Man, like a good bit stronger at this point. So Omni-Man leaves, obviously leaving the planet, going on a different mission for himself now, sparing them to a certain extent. And then his next big fights, quote unquote, right? Invincible's next big fights are with or against other Viltrumites with Omni-Man, which by the way, they would absolutely decimate. Like, this would not be a fair fight. Now, would Mark Grayson, get caught off guard a little bit because, we all know he loves to hold back and do this and that? Probably, right? There's a good chance that he gets caught off guard, or this happens, or that, and because that's just what he does. That is what Mark Grayson does. He loves messing up. I mean, at the end of the day, we have seen it on multiple events that Mark, really doesn't want to show off his powers to the degree of Omni-Man. Doesn't want to really let loose. But against the Viltrumites that invade Thraxon, or the Thraxon's planet, this is truly where we see the power of a Zenkai Boost. Because when they go head to head, when yes, he's holding back and stuff like that, and he can still keep up, if not be better than them, Omni-Man would eventually tell him, this is no longer your playground fight. You have to lock in. You have to fight like you're trying to kill them, because they're trying to kill you. In doing so, this would awaken a totally different beast. I mean, Invincible would work these Viltrumites. Absolutely decimate them. I mean, there's even a world where the other Viltrumites arrive to take Nolan or Omni-Man, and, well, Mark is able to put up a good-ass fight. Excuse my language, but he's able to put up an insane fight. But just for story's sake, let's just say Nolan still gets taken away and stuff like that, and they give Mark the chance, give him a chance to basically reform Earth and get it ready for the Viltrumite Empire. We obviously know that the next threat would be Anissa, but Anissa's arrival on that planet, I mean, this is a bad idea, because there's a good chance that if Mark decides, hey, I'm not going to play around, I'm not going to give you the chance to leave, I'm going to kill you, and he decides to do that, he will get the job done. Anissa's not strong enough, not even close, especially if you grant him these Zenkais. There's no way Anissa would be strong enough, especially if you look at it based on the analysis that we see in Season 3, where they're talking about how there's a good chance that he outclasses Anissa at that point. Yes, he hasn't trained like at all during this time, but the two Zenkai Boosts, right? The two Zenkai Boosts, the major ones he's gotten here, I mean, are ridiculous to the point where it's not even going to be fair. I mean, Anissa will feel very quickly the strength of Mark Grayson and will figure out like, oh, this is not good. I should not have been the one that got sent here. Like, this was a bad idea. But of course, they don't care. They don't care about Anissa. They don't care about the other Viltrumites. If you don't come back, then you don't come back. I mean, that's all it is to really process. There's nothing there. There's nothing for them. So if Anissa gets captured or killed, they won't care. And that's the reality of the Viltrumite Empire. But of course, Mark would outclass her, and it would be pretty straightforward to see that this person, Mark Grayson, is strong enough to be Earth's protector. And I think Cecil would think otherwise at doing something very, very stupid, especially coming up when we go into Season 3 and stuff. Now, Angstrom Levy, is he really going to be a threat? Or if any of that really even happens? Probably not. I mean, if it does end up occurring, the whole Angstrom Levy and all that stuff, I don't see how Mark loses here. I mean, he won already in the first place. I don't see how he would even be tired enough to be in a spot where he's even vulnerable. I mean, Mark is a beast at this point, so he would easily be able to do that. And the real questions as we go along is how the training with Cecil and then eventually the Viltrumite War, the Invincible War, my apologies, the Invincible War, and how the Conquest Arrival would change. Now, obviously, the Cecil training would not be as fruitful. I think that's something that will most likely be pretty obvious, because at the end of the day, it's just basic training. I mean, I call it basic training. It's not basic training. Excuse my language. It's not basic training. But in terms of the Viltrumite stuff, right? In terms of like, lifting heavy objects, flying at it as fast as you possibly can from one spot to another. That is the quote unquote basic training that I'm talking about. I mean, he's able to do some amazing things, and yes, they could potentially add a little bit more strength, a little more speed, and a little more technical ability to Mark during this time, but there's also a good chance that it doesn't make that much of a difference. There's really a world where it doesn't. The Zenkai Boosts have made him so strong at this point that any push-up, any sit-up, any carry giant glacier just won't be enough, right? He's probably borderline being able to carry a planet if he wanted to. So it wouldn't really make sense for him to work out or train in this regard. I mean, he probably would still, just to make sure that he's prepared and available and just ready to go no matter what. But overall, I don't think this training would be as fruitful as the previous one was in the original kind of events of Invincible. Now, obviously, as we progress and as things happen, as the Invincible War would eventually ensue, there's two things to keep into account. Do these Invincibles have Zenkai Boosts? If they do, we're dealing with a pretty interesting Invincible War that is a little bit more competitive, right? A little bit more competitive. Could I see them being heroic enough to even abuse these Zenkai Boosts? No, I don't. So yes, they probably would be stronger, and yes, a lot of these people that defeated versions of Invincible would not be able to defeat them, like ever, like not even close, but our Invincible would tear them to shreds, would absolutely whoop on any single version of Invincible that shows up. And unfortunately for Conquest, stand ready for his arrival. I mean, really, you're not very threatening, at least not in this reality, because our Invincible, our Mark Grayson, is way, way, way higher in terms of threat level than Conquest is. And on top of that, if you compare the Invincibles or the Invincible War, or the Invincibles in the Invincible War to Conquest, shoot, those Invincibles might be stronger than this version of Conquest. And I know some of you might take that out of context. I want to make it very clear. The original versions of Invincible versus Conquest, no, that they're not similar in power, not one for one, not one-on-one, they're not similar in power. But this version, if you give these other Mark Grayson Zenkai boosts, yes, I believe that Conquest and these Invincibles, or one of the Invincibles, are on an even playing field. If not, the Invincibles could be even stronger than Conquest himself. That's how much a Zenkai boost means, right, to this scenario, and how much a Zenkai boost could help our Mark Grayson, but also these other Mark Graysons as well. But with that said, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this idea of what if Invincible got Zenkai boosts, and I would love to hear what you guys' opinion on it, on Zenkai boosts. If you think I underpowered him or overpowered him, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And if you guys enjoyed this video, YouTube believes you'll enjoy this one, so might as well go check it out.